Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. After about 10 years of being a therapist, I started to dream about using my skill set in a different way. I was curious about other ways I could bring in an income, and so I went looking. My first idea was to be a contractor for an online counseling company, so I applied, was accepted, and went through the trainings. And when I was finally onboarded, the clients started to come in. I quickly built up a full schedule as a part-time therapist. I was busy with all these clients, and I really enjoyed the work, yet I was on the computer and my phone a lot, missing time with my family, and it finally hit me that I didn't want to trade my precious family time for work anymore. So I resigned after about 9 months of working for them. Yeah, I had my time back, but I didn't have that money. And being a little burnout, all right, y'all know, who am I kidding? I was a lot burnt out. I decided the extra income would need to come from something else, not therapy related. So I looked to my other interests of fitness, living an active lifestyle, and my love of fitness clothes, activewear, and I found something new that would challenge my skills. This time around, I was able to work this business in the pockets of my days and have the quality time with my family. And if you're curious to learn more about this opportunity, head over to my website, lisamustard.com, and click on activewear. You can learn all about it. But it also got me thinking of other ways to build passive or residual income, affiliate marketing, podcast sponsorships, speaking engagements. Yet I didn't know much about these things, so I turned to my friend Joe Sanok of the Practice of the Practice. He's been able to create additional streams of revenue through many things like affiliate marketing, consulting, creating conferences, and speaking. And he's here today on the show to talk about how we therapists can diversify our income streams and think a little bit differently on how we can utilize our counselor strengths to make some more money. He gives practical tips and ideas on getting started, ethical issues we need to consider, creating memberships, e-courses, and why we need to really know our audience's pain points before we even start creating products for them. Plus, he shares details on his upcoming conferences and how he helps therapists launch their private practices. Need continuing education contact hours that fit around your life and schedule? Well, if you do, I think you'll love my pod courses. Listen to the episode at your convenience, then take the self-study quiz, pass it, and then download your certificate of completion. It's simple and convenient learning that fits your life and lifestyle. And you can get the first pod course for free. Head to my site and enter your email to get your first pod course for free. All right, let's jump into this episode, y'all. So, hey, Joe, welcome back to the Therapy Show. It's really cool to have you back.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lisa.
I'm really excited about our conversation today. And this is something that you have mentioned in your emails over the years that I've been on your email list, and that is affiliate marketing. And I go to your website and I see all the things that you do and all that you're involved in. And if you could maybe take us back to how you decided to get involved with affiliate marketing as a therapist and also as a consultant, because your model has changed, obviously, over the years, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So for me, affiliate marketing, for those that don't know what it is, it's you're connecting with some sort of product or service that you get compensation for. And so, for example, a company that we really support and they've treated our folks well. And so we have a link that if people, I think it's practicethepractice.com/host or hosting, that then redirects them to Bluehost. And then we get $75 per referral that we send to them. And so that idea of building kind of financial streams beyond kind of what your own practice is doing is really appealing to a lot of people. So when I started Practice the Practice, I thought that was going to be my primary way of funding kind of that venture. But affiliate marketing is really difficult, and we can talk about kind of the ups and downs of it. But just from the get-go, doing affiliate marketing within your counseling practice, a lot of people feel is an ethical gray area. And especially with, when you look at fee splitting and the way that that's defined, you really want to be careful about doing that with your clients. And so we did do, I think, an Amazon link for Amazon books or things like that, but we disclosed that it was an affiliate link, which you always want to do anyway. But really, I felt pretty uncomfortable with building a whole business around affiliate marketing within my counseling practice. And so that's where kind of Practice the Practice as a separate entity made a lot more sense for that.
I totally understand that. And I know that's usually the first question that therapists ask is this ethical? Can I do this? Is this going to get me in trouble? And what's my licensing board going to say? And I know that I've done a little bit of research around this because I do get asked that question from therapist friends. And I know that you have to have the disclaimer on there. And it sounds as though as long as you're not pushing your clients that they have to purchase from you or they have to buy from you, if they're already coming to you and they're asking you, like, what books do you recommend? And you're just over and over again, referring the same parenting books or relationship books. And you could just say, if you want to go to my website, I have everything listed there. Just to let you know, I do get an affiliate fee for that. It seems as though that kind of covers your bases.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a blog post that's about, say, couples work,
Mhm.
and then you refer John and Julie Gottman's 8 Dates book,
Mhm.
to just say, we get a small percentage from Amazon for making this referral. That helps us fund some of our sliding fee clients and to pay for better services. Thanks so much for using that. But what's great about even just having an Amazon associate link is that if someone, say, then buys, their partner $1,000 in fly fishing equipment, you then get that percentage of that as well beyond just the book with
Right.
Amazon.
Right. Oh, that's cool. So when you think about taking it to that next level, how did you make that decision or how did that kind of come to be?
Yeah, I think the first step for people is to look at what they're already referring or recommending. And so with Practice the Practice, we were referring for hosting all the time. People wanted $4 hosting, they wanted to build their own website. And so just starting with those products and services that you already use. And so for us, practice solutions, we get questions all the time about what medical billing should we use for our therapy. And we've become friends with Catherine and Jeremy, and so we have an affiliate relationship with them. And so, looking at where are you sending people on a regular basis. And so, for me, it's mostly business tools. And so, for therapists, it might be maybe you find a really good e-course that's all about trauma, and you don't want to build it, but there's $100 affiliate fee, assuming you disclose that and you talk to your clients about, I do get, an affiliate fee for this, or you have it be a kind of standalone page, making sure you look at your own ethics, but then finding those things that, what do I refer over and over and over to? The other option is to look at those things and ask the folks that built it if they'll white label it. So white labeling is where, say, Lisa, you had built an awesome course on trauma, and I was a trauma therapist. To have you then white label that means that you would basically copy the course and then you would get a percentage of the fees, but then I would be selling it as if it was my own course. And so I would say, the mental wellness counseling, trauma e-course, and then, we hired Lisa to do this filming, then it looks like it's my own product. That's another way to kind of monetize things.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that existed. Sounds kind of like the done for you services that are out there that I've heard of for like blogging and resources that you can purchase and then put your logo on it and it's like you wrote it, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Similar.
it's this. I mean, the name white label comes
Mhm.
from kind of the generic brand of things where, Spartan brand will have it and Kroger brand will have it.
Gotcha.
But it all comes from the same factory. They just put a different label on it. So it starts with a white label and then they put
Mhm.
their own label on it. So same sort of idea that there's a product that's out there that you then can kind of buy the rights to have it be your own product without having to build it from the ground up.
Well, that's cool. I didn't realize you could do that for that kind of. That's
Oh
really
yeah.
neat. Something to note, therapist friends listening. That's pretty cool. Okay, I really love that. Now, I know that there are some folks listening today that are wondering, they want to pivot a little bit and they want to maybe start including other things in their business or you and I were talking ahead of time about me moving into coaching. So, when you think about that and you think about kind of opening up and becoming a coach or a consultant, your work gets a little more niched down and you are then moving into a different space. Do you have any suggestions about how folks can go about figuring out what they would make sense to affiliate with? Does that make sense? That question?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is to really define which audience you want to come where. And so, if someone's searching for therapy services, you want your website to be crystal clear that you do therapy. And so a
Right.
lot of people will say, Joe Sanok counseling and consulting. Well, that just gets messy really quick. And so imagine if you came to the Practice website and there was a bunch of things that said, schedule your counseling session now. You'd be like, wait, is this a consulting website or a counseling? So you really usually want to have a different website for your coaching because you can then be very clear on kind of that division between what is therapeutic and what's a separate business. Even maybe having a separate LLC, it's not hard to file in most states to have a separate LLC for that. So I would start there and then to really define who is it that you're serving and what are the big pains and problems that they're dealing with. And
Mhm.
so being able to say, what are the kinds of things that I could offer through coaching, through mastermind groups, through a membership community? Those are really where I think most people are able to level up their income. Affiliates are fine. It's a great way to bring in some extra revenue. I mean, we probably bring in $2,000 or $3,000 a month in affiliates, but that's taken a long time to build that kind of level. Whereas, to launch a couple new coaching programs to get 6 people that are going to pay $500 a month, that's going to be a lot easier and more scalable for you when you're looking at leveling up. And so usually offering your own unique products and services within a coaching or consulting business is going to be where you can maximize that hourly rate that you're trying to improve.
Cool. I like that. I like how you explain that. It makes it seem so much less daunting for folks out there who might be, it's about getting clear on who you are and what you do and who you help. Just getting
Yeah.
really, really clear on that ideal customer and then kind of, reverse engineering it for sure. And I think
Mhm.
that's one of the things that I really have learned so much from you is think about where you want to be and then, reverse engineer it to how you're going to get there. And affiliate marketing is definitely one of the ways that can help you get there. Do you have other ideas or suggestions for passive income opportunities for coaches or therapists or
Yeah, I think digging into a membership community would be good to spend a little bit of time there. And so when we hear passive income, we often think you just don't have to work for it. And I would say that's just not true.
not true?
It's just, you're just not trading an hour for the money. And so
Right,
in typical counseling, you show up, you get 125 an hour, or if you're one of my consulting clients, 225 an hour, so
right.
or more. But it's still, if you're sick, if you're on vacation, you don't make that money. And so the idea is that, yes, you're putting time into it, but it's not directly tied to the income.
Right.
So, for example, if you have an e-course that you sell for $500, you maybe do a webinar, you sell 10 of those in that hour, that's $5,000. And then maybe send some follow-up emails, and then a handful more people buy that e-course.
Mm,
And so then that becomes passive income, even though you actively spent that hour doing the webinar. It's not based on, I show up for the webinar, people pay X number of dollars, and then I just get that amount of money. So in regards to passive income, I would say the two leading ones for folks that have a private practice would be a membership community
mhm,
and an e-course. So a membership community, that's going to be where people pay some sort of either monthly or annual fee, so similar to a Netflix subscription, and then they get something in return for that. And so we have Next Level Practice, which is our community for people starting a practice. And so because we have so many people in it, we can then have staff that create things for folks that would be really expensive for them. So doing 100 images for blog posts, so having really good quality images or infographics, and instead of them then paying to have each of those things created, we can create them for all of our 400 plus members, and then they can put their own logo on it.
mhm.
So the big thing that people usually screw up is they fall in love with their product. They sketch out, this 8-part e-course, and they, say, oh, it's going to be amazing. They might even spend a bunch of money on filming it, only to then when they do a webinar, have 5 people show up and no one buys it. Many people fall in love with the product first. And what I push my clients to do is to start with the problem, the pain, and the people, and really get to know them, dig in there. And then from there, you can launch the product.
Mm,
And so once you start to build an audience, so say you have 100 people on your email list for whatever coaching or consulting you have, then you want to sit down with them and have a 20-minute conversation with maybe 10 to 20 of your listeners or of your subscribers, and to just ask them 3 simple questions. So the first question is, what's this pain or this problem been like for you? So say you're a trauma therapist and you've then built a website that's helping people kind of on a national scale around trauma. They've opted in for your email list, got some great kind of suggestions from that. And then you get them on a Skype call or a Zoom call and you say, hey, I just want to dig in and hear what kind of the pain has been like for you for trauma, to really learn how they talk about it. And then second, if there was some sort of membership community, e-course, or product that for you really would help you with your trauma, for example, what do you wish was out there? And so they might say, if there was a trauma expert once a month that came in and talked about a different aspect of trauma, like sleep or nutrition, or someone that could really help around that, and then maybe had some Q&A or office hours with you, and maybe a private Facebook group or some e-courses, they might then sketch out what they would really like.
mm.
And then from there to say, well, how much would you pay for that? And if everybody says I wouldn't pay more than $7 a month, and you do the math and you're like, this is totally not worth my time. Or people say, oh, I'd pay $200 or $300 a month, then you have a business. And so before you put all this time and energy into creating something, to be able to talk with people that are your potential customers. And then, once you've talked to 20 people and you email those folks and say, here's what I discovered from doing 20 interviews. It took some time, but here's the common threads I heard that people have dealt with. They feel like the information's always changing and they don't know what to follow other than going to therapy regularly. Second, they wish that there was access to some experts and some Q&A with me. And then third, they said they'd pay around $50 a month for that. Well, we're going to launch that at $70 a month, but if you want to be in that beta test group and sign up now, you can get it for $50 a month and just lock that in. And so then your very customers are telling you, here's what I want you to build, and here's what I'm willing to pay for it. And that's how we've sold out every cohort of Next Level Practice that we've had. When we launched our Done For You podcasting, we sold that out. Mm-hmm. With Killing It Camp, we did an interest list and then an early bird to really test it before we put a bunch of money down for a conference. And so if you do that, then if it doesn't work, you just say, okay, that was an idea. Nobody bought it. Maybe 5 people bought it. You just refund their money and move on and say, I'm sorry, there weren't enough people to make this launch. I hope it works. Then you're not creating the product first and trying to squeeze people into it.
Yes, I think that's so wise. And I know you've been saying that for quite some time now. And it's finally kind of like, I feel like I was beating it into my head, but it makes so much sense. A couple months ago, it didn't really make sense because I think I was in love with my product versus the pain of my people. So I was listening to one of your podcast episodes, the one that just came out today with your sleep.
With Chrissy.
Yeah, so good. I was working out.
Schooler and oh man, she's awesome.
And I was at the gym and I was working out and I was so impressed by what she accomplished. And the really cool part about it was she says that she realized the importance of slowing down so she could go faster. And we've been talking about slow down school now for some time. So tell us more about what slow down school can do for people. Cause that podcast just like blew my mind. It was awesome to hear her story.
I love slow down school. I always record a video of myself to myself on the last day of slow down school after everyone leaves to just remind myself how much I love it. Because, when you're in the midst of your work and, you're selling tickets and promoting it, it's hard to remember, why you do it. But every single year, the same thing happens. So we have anywhere from, 10 to 20 people that fly into Northern Michigan. We pick them up in a big yellow school bus at the airport, which is just fun because, when's the last time we were on a school yellow bus? It brings back all sorts of memories. So then we drive out to the Leelanau School where we do slow down school. And these are all high achievers. So they're people that usually are pretty close to a 6-figure practice, if not beyond that. They've got big ideas. They may want to grow a podcast or launch a podcast, or they may have an e-course or membership community that they want to launch or maybe have already launched. And so they're people that they want to go after something bigger. And then we head out to the Leelanau School, which is this awesome private school that's right on the water. The kids aren't there, anymore because they're home for the summer. We have an executive chef that is there and has partnerships with local farmers. So even the salad bar has, here's where the carrots came from. We grew the kale. And it's funny because we had a lady who's vegan and she said it was some of the best vegan food she ever had. And then we had another lady that was on the keto diet and she stayed in ketosis all week. So I figure if we can make both of them happy, everyone else has nothing to complain about.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah. That's a testimony right there.
Yeah. And so on Sunday, we kick things off in the evening to kind of set the vision for the week and get people motivated and excited about it. And then on Monday and Tuesday, we genuinely slow down. So we encourage people to only pull their phones out for pictures or video. Ahead of time, we do a bunch of prep calls to help them really learn how to unplug for that whole week. Because it's one thing to unplug for a 2-day conference, but to do a week-long conference, you got to do some massive planning to really make that work. Mm-hmm. So then we go for hikes in some of my favorite places in Northern Michigan, overlooking Lake Michigan and this beautiful scenery. We bring in massage therapists and yoga teachers. And the first day, people are usually pretty antsy. They're feeling like, I want to get working. I want to work on my big ideas. But by the second day, it's like they get a glimpse into what life could be like for them. Mm-hmm. And their faces just totally change. And like, wait, I don't have to go full tilt. And actually, it's going to be better for me if I slow things down a little bit. And then on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning, we do run full tilt. And so it's really good to make sure that they slow down in those first couple days. And so what that looks like is we do some 20-minute sprints where we define what you're going to get done in 20 minutes. You run full tilt towards it. If you get stuck, you raise your hand, and we've got consultants that are helping. And the idea is that most conferences you leave with a to-do list and very little done, but this one you leave with a lot done.
Yeah.
And so we then also break into some small groups. We do an activity called Ask Give, where people say, here's what I can give to the group. Here's what I want from the group. And then people kind of pair up based on some of those things. And then on Friday, we spend the whole morning working on the next 4 quarters, so the next year. So you'll leave with a clear action plan. But because we slow down, what happens is the best ideas come to the surface, and all those ideas that felt like they were priorities really kind of fall to the wayside. And then on Friday afternoon, we go around northern Michigan and kind of land the plane for the week. We usually go to a chocolatier that's up there that has a direct relationship with their chocolate farmers. And then we go to a cherry tasting place and have some cherry wine. And it's just a nice way to kind of land the week. We have it all inclusive, so it includes all the food, lodging, drinks, activities. So if you get to northern Michigan after that, there's no cost other than that. And then early Saturday morning, you get on the school bus and go back to the airport. And we give hugs and say goodbye. And it's amazing to see the results that people get from it. And every single year it happens where, like Jessica Tapana, who 2 years ago, she launched, or she was just kind of helping people on the couch at Slowdown School with their SEO, with their meta descriptions. And now she makes more money off of her SEO company than she does off of her clinical practice. And she has a group practice.
Yeah.
And these ideas that just keep getting launched, Veronica Cisneros, she was at Slowdown School this year, and really, it was almost like she was one of the consultants. She was really motivating the women and helping them kind of find their own voice. She has a podcast coming out called Empowered and Unapologetic, and she put on a retreat in California and sold that out. And so to see these people that have done clinical work, but they know their voice really needs to go out into a broader world, it's so exciting to see and to work with them for that week together in northern Michigan.
It sounds really exciting. I mean, I can only imagine the breakthroughs that happen at the Slowdown School, and it sounds just fabulous. And I think I just wanted to hear you say it again one more time so I could start put it in look at, okay, if I want to budget this in, how do I get there? How do I get myself to Slowdown School? Because I know I can only imagine to have an entire week to slow down all the creativity that just bubbles up and all these ideas. And I mean, I know you all are creating an amazing community of folks too. And I think that's, something that we don't get once we leave grad school. We might have like a cuddle group or a peer supervision group, or, most of the day we're spent behind the door with our clients. And I know that I'm guilty of that in my world of what I do. I see the same people all the time. And it's hard to let your creativity out when you're just kind of caught in the motions of your day. So I think it sounds incredible. I do want to ask you, while I got you, such a treat to have you on the show. Always learn something new. And I know that the listeners are probably taking lots and lots of notes. Can you talk a little bit about Next Level Practice? Because I joined Next Level Practice 2 months ago. And I got to be honest, like how this happened for me is I've been on your email list forever. I don't even know how long I've been on your email list, but I have been back and forth on if I was going to create a private or start a private practice for many, many years. And then something in one of your emails 3 months ago, I was like, I'm doing it. I'm jumping in. I'm going to do Next Level Practice. It's opening up. I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it 3 months and see what bubbles up for me. And so I had this huge moment of clarity yesterday about moving forward, because I think even a message I sent you recently was, I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to not stay with it. But then yesterday it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like I wanted to have the product, but my population is telling me what they want from me. So I'm going to go with that. And everything is just kind of like, I see things so differently now. I see the resources differently now. I see the group differently now. So I'll stop talking and let you explain, like, what the heck is Next Level Practice? Who is it for? And gosh, I mean, I'll just gush about the benefits, but maybe you can tell us the details.
Sure. No, you can keep going if you want.
Okay.
Just gush about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think one thing that we noticed was that for a lot of people, doing one-on-one consulting at $1,000 a month just wasn't in their budget, but even more so for me to honestly say, okay, the return on investment for doing a 6-month minimum to spend $6,000 to help you start a practice, I want people to have a return on investment that's kind of a no-brainer and that I can stand behind. And so we really stopped doing consulting around people starting a practice Yeah. So next level practice, we noticed that there wasn't a lot that was out there for people starting a practice in the way that we recommended that people start a practice. And a number of our friends have great membership communities or training. So, Business School Boot Camp or the Abundance Party, those are awesome friends of ours that we fully support, but it didn't, match the model that we frequently taught. And so there's three major parts to next level practice to help people start and grow their practices. So the first part is community. So we have a private Facebook group. We also have small groups people meet in once a month, if not more, if they decide to meet more often. Also, they're given accountability partners. So they get paired up with somebody to hold each other accountable. And then we also have a number of groups that happen live that I run or that I bring people in for.
Cool.
So the second part is ongoing learning.
Mm-hmm.
And so we bring in an Ask the Expert, an expert each month that we do where we have people talk about SEO or websites or public speaking, these things that we know these folks would be really expensive for each individual to go talk to. But because I have those relationships with folks, we'll have them kind of come in and just talk about that expert area. So we archive all of those in Teachable, and we have over 30 e-courses in there. Everything from marketing a practice to how do you use Instagram to SEO. There's more things in there than someone could really go through, and we keep adding more.
It's a vault. It
is a gigantic vault. In fact, we actually had to make blueprints for people based on their stage of practice for them to know kind of where they should go next, just so they weren't jumping around too much. Because if you're growing a practice, say you're at 30,000, that's going to be different than if you're brand new starting one. So we just wanted people to know, okay, month 1, do this course, month 2, do this course. And then the last part is tools of the trade. So every month we have some tool that we give away for free that we think is equal to the value of next level practice. And so it's $99 a month. And we wanted people to be able to say, if I get one new client that comes once as a result of what I learn, then I should stay connected here. And, a lot of the live events, the Q&As that I host, will only have 20 people in them. And so really, if people want access to me or to Allison or Whitney, us consultants, it's a great affordable way to get access. All 300 people aren't showing up for it. And so it's nice to have these smaller group meetings as well. So if people want to get on the list for the next cohort, it's practiceofthepractice.com/invite. And then we have cohorts. I think we only have 3 opening in 2020. And so you want to make sure you jump in when it does open, because we don't let people in after the cohort opens.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind how much I've learned, and the resources, like you said, the tools of the trade, that in itself is amazing. I forget what it was. Was it paperwork?
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
paperwork
the
packet.
paperwork
We usually
packet.
sell it for $200
I
and we just
mean,
give it to you.
I opened it up and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I was so excited. I was like, this is such a amazing value. So I have been really, really pleased and excited to be in Next Level Practice. And all of your consultants are so wonderful. In fact, Whitney is on my podcast that releases tomorrow. So I'm really excited to release her how to market your faith-based practice. So I'm really excited. It's a great episode.
And she's actually launching her own podcast, a Faith and Practice podcast that goes live in just a week from the time of recording. So probably by the time this is live, if you just search Faith and Practice in whatever podcast player you like, you can listen to her podcast.
Okay, so podcasting. You are launching, Podcast Launch School? That's coming?
Yeah, so Podcast Launch School is an e-course, and then we started doing Done For You podcasting for people that want to launch a podcast, but they realize their hourly is too high for them to learn how to do show notes and all that.
That's so cool. And then the Podcast Launch School e-course, is that for anybody? You don't have to be a therapist, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's going to be for anyone. Yeah, we have, I think, let me look at the list. 15 affiliates of really kind of big names that are going to help promote it. So people like Mike Michalowicz, who wrote Profit First. We've got, there's just a whole bunch of awesome people that are affiliates too, that are helping us promote it once it goes live. So Podcast Launch School, that's going to be going live in March 2020. And so people on the list are going to get the cheapest fee for that. So it's going to be $497 for them. It's usually going to be $997, but then our affiliates get a significant back.
Yeah. And how long, so that's an e-course, right? How long how long do you think it would take for somebody, if they bought the course, to get up and running once they went through your e-course? If they were to actually, take.
Yeah. Well, Our e-course is different than a lot of the podcasting courses that are just purely technical. So a lot of them will start with buy this microphone, get this equipment, do this. And that's great. I mean, you need to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
But our very first module is all about discovering your message. And so the 9 parts of Podcast Launch School follow kind of what I do month by month with the people that are doing consulting with me on launching a podcast. And so
Cool.
not that you have to take a month to do each of the modules. In fact, I'd say do it quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say you could, in 6 weeks, you could really power through it. But we walk people through finding your message and really figuring out what your goals are for the podcast. Because say your goals are just to get local people to come into your counseling practice. Well, that's a much different thing than I want to go national. And
Right.
so someone that wants to, build a local business, you want to have a podcast that's highly localized. So interviewing local businesses, talking to local people, and it doesn't matter if you only get 500 listens per episode because you want to get local people.
Right.
Whereas if you want to go national or international and be a big speaker, that's going to be much different. So we kind of walk people through that. Then the second module, we walk people through a 9-part email course. And we have that as module 2 before you ever start recording to really figure out how you talk about the pains and the problems and the people. Because if you can identify that and identify that transformation in an email course, it's going to be a lot easier when you get to recording your solo episodes and your guest episodes for your podcast. So we really do a lot of front end work to help people find their message and craft that really well so that by the time they start recording, for most people, it's episode 12 or 15 that they really get their groove and their flow. And we want that to be episode 1 or 2 where you feel like, okay, like I can really talk about this well.
Right. Right. I think that's awesome. And I'm excited. I have some friends who've reached out to ask me about how do you start a podcast? And, I give them what I went through, but it's wonderful to be able to point them to say, hey, consider Joe's e-course where you can take it at your pace. And I remember in one of because I'm on the email list for that too. I remember one of your emails stating, is podcasting even right for you? So I love that you're addressing that at the start, because I think a lot of people, I had somebody say the word pod fade to me.
Yeah.
Have you heard that word? Okay.
Episode 12 is usually where they pod fade.
Yeah. So thankfully I've made it past the fading mark. That was my goal. I would not pod fade. So I think that's the sweet spot of figuring out, is this going to fly or not? So I really love that you're also doing that. Wow. Is there anything else that you are doing that I don't know about? I don't know.
We always have ideas. I think the only other thing we haven't talked about is the conference we put on in Colorado called Killin' It Camp.
Kill It Camp. Mm-hmm.
And so we do that. That's going to be October 4th through 7th. It's our largest conference. It's the private practice conference. So it's aimed at people that are growing and scaling a private practice. We have some people that are just getting started, and that's awesome, and we welcome them. But a large portion of our folks are interested in building multiple streams of income, scaling a practice, kind of getting to that next level. And so killinitcamp.com, those tickets will go on sale, I want to say March, April, somewhere in there. Our founders that came last year to the first one, they get early access first and get access, especially to the volunteer tickets, because those, you do 5 hours of volunteering and then you get a much discounted ticket rate too. So.
Oh, I bet that's a lot of fun. Even if you're a volunteer, you're probably right in the thick of it and learning just as much as everybody else. That's great.
My wife was the volunteer coordinator last year, and we had 50 volunteers that helped out. It was amazing. Everyone pitched in. And this year, a bunch of the founders are saying, I want to be on a planning committee to help make this even better.
Yeah.
So we had goat yoga. We had an open bar both nights. It was just a lot of fun.
It sounds like a lot of fun. I love how you are taking, you're so forward thinking in our profession, and it's so awesome. It's such a breath of fresh air. And I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful that y'all, I swear I do not stalk Joe, I promise. But the email, so your email, I got an email today about your story about, working for the community college and all the things that just kind of happened that just, puts you on that path to pivoting and shifting and just going for what you really wanted, the freedom and the flexibility and the impact that you wanted to make. And I just am in awe. Like I just, I think it's incredible. So thank you so much for being here once again and coming back. And I'm sure I'll have another idea to bring you on the show down the road, but anything else you want to share before we?
No, this has just been so awesome. And I think no matter what phase of practice people are in, they can just reach out to us. We have a live chat function at practiceofthepractice.com. And so Jess, my director of details, she's on there all day long. And so if you're ever stuck, you can just pop on there and say, hey, is there a podcast about, buying a practice, or is there a podcast about negotiating rent, or, I'm stuck, what should I do? Yeah. She'll then point you in the right direction. So you can get that live help. And, if you're ever looking for some more help, we have plenty of different things at kind of every price point for people.
Yeah, you definitely do. Oh my gosh, I'm excited for all people listening today that are going to, if they haven't heard of you, if this is the first time they've heard of you and they're going to go over to your website and get some more Joe in their lives, they're going to be really glad that they did. So thank you so much. It's
Oh,
awesome.
thank you so much, Lisa.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine. Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content. And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.